Today, we have Brock Dumois with us.
Hello, hello.
There he is. Now, Brock is a friend of sorts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Brock and I known each other for a while. We haven't hung out a ton. He's a real cool cat every time I've been around him. But he is a successful entrepreneur in his own right, and he makes surfboards for a living. Is that right?
Yep. So I guess I've been doing it since 2003.
Wow.
Just kind of doing it in my garage just for the love and the passion of just building and just, just surfing in general. And just started kind of building right whenever I got out of high school.
Wow, that's awesome. So how long have you been doing it professionally? As your career, this is my profession. I now build surfboards for a living.
So I guess, I would probably say 2010 is kind of whenever we kind of started really kind of building the business to where it was, starting to quote unquote make money.
Yeah.
But whenever we really kind of buckled down was probably 2013, whenever one of our strategic partners just kind of came on and really kind of took us to the next level.
That's awesome. So when you got into building surfboards, was it always, I'm going to build surfboards and make money off of it? Or how did you get started in making surfboards?
So there was a movie that came out a long time ago called The Endless Summer, and then there was The Endless Summer 2. And then so from The Endless Summer 2, that was the one that kind of resonated with me just because it was the production value, I guess, was a little bit better. And there was a guy in there named Robert August, and he was just a surfboard builder. And I was just like, man, I just want to shape surfboards and surf every day. And, that was just kind of the dream, right? So I started making them in my garage. My parents had like I say it was a garage. It was like a little shop that my parents had in the backyard. And then they just said, you can have it, do what you want with it. I was making about, $7 an hour working at a glass company, just as, just doing grunt work for this company. And so they would let me ship all my stuff there because everything would come in on like an 18-wheeler, and it was too expensive to ship to my house. And
so what kind of material are we talking?
Like I'm talking about like surfboard blanks, mainly surfboard blanks because they come in these huge boxes. They have to come on like an 18-wheeler, and to get to like a residential neighborhood, it would probably screw everything up.
Okay.
So anyway, they were really cool. They would let me ship all my stuff there, and so then when I would take it back to my house, so I just started building it just for fun and building it for friends and family, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then I guess I took a little bit of time off. I was playing in a band, but then about 2008, 2009 is whenever I kind of really started doing it again. But then that's kind of whenever we shifted over into wake surfing.
Wake surfing, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get into that a little bit because that's an awesome thing. So I heard a rumor about you or a story, and you're gonna have to let me know if it's true. I heard you moved to Mexico to build surfboards for us.
Okay, yeah. So that was a funny story. So I was surfing with a guy, or I met a guy down in Surfside Beach, Texas, and he was, we just kind of knew each other just from the surf scene, and then I didn't hear from him for about 2 years.
I gotta stop you real quick.
Okay.
Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Man, I was born in Texas.
Okay.
Moved to Arkansas for a year whenever I was 6, and then I moved to Kentucky for 10 years. So I guess I shouldn't probably be a surfboard builder being from Kentucky.
None of those. Even well, we'll get into the Texas thing, but you think Texas, I don't necessarily think surfboards. Or surfing, you may think differently, but
Texas has a bigger surf scene than you would think. I mean, yeah, a lot of people don't go in the water just because, number one, it's gross down here.
Yeah.
Number two, whenever people are typically at the beach, it's during the summertime, and that's typically when there are no waves. That's when people say, "Oh, there's no waves in Galveston," it's because they don't go at the right time of the year. Typically whenever the winter time comes around, that's whenever the waves start to happen. Nobody's at the beach, so nobody sees the good waves, and
you just ruined that.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. So
no, all right. So back to Arkansas. To Arkansas.
So I moved to Arkansas for a year. I was probably 6 years old, 5 or 6, somewhere around in there. Then I moved to Kentucky.
Okay.
Was there for 10 years, and I moved back to Texas whenever I was 15. Okay, so yeah, I guess that was 10 years, 5. Carry the 2. Anyway, yeah, 15. So I moved to Angleton, Texas.
Okay.
Actually, no. I moved to Gonzales, Texas, lived there for a year with my grandmother until we could find a house. We bought a house, and then that's where I just kind of started whenever I was 15. So, yeah.
So when did you watch this movie that inspired all of this greatness?
Well, I guess let me rewind a little bit. Whenever we were living in Kentucky, my dad would take me every year to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because I guess that was like the closest way or closest place we could go to go surf. So from the time I was 7 years old all the way till I was 15, we would go to Myrtle Beach every year and surf. So during that time is whenever, Endless Summer 2 was out and I was watching that and I came back. I was just like, man, I'm now 20 minutes from the beach. I can surf every day if I want. Yes, it's Texas, but I was scratching my itch.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So we moved back from Kentucky. We're down in Angleton and you're surfing every day, scratching the itch. You're building surfboards in mom and dad's shop.
Yep.
And when do we go to Mexico?
Okay. So I met a guy that, from the surf scene, from going surfing all the time. And so we became friends for probably a year. And then he was gone for like, I don't know, 2 years or something. I didn't hear from him. And then finally I get like a phone call or a text message just said, hey man, you still building boards? I was like, yeah, I'm still building, just kind of for fun, friends and family. He said, well, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. So I was like, okay, well, what's the bad news? And he said, well, my dad died. I was like, man, I'm really sorry to hear that. And he said, but the good news is I inherited like $1.5 million. Do you want to go move to Mexico and surf and build boards every day? So, well, yeah, I mean, at this time I'm 21 years old. I'm in college. So I drop out of college to go try to pursue this dream to go build boards down in Mexico. So we build a bunch of boards here before we leave. And then we go to the border, we get across fine, and then we come to a couple other checkpoints. And we're in like a old Harry and the Hendersons station wagon. But the thing that we did though is we put a brand new engine in this thing, so that way we didn't want to be down there in like a BMW or something like that. You get it stolen. So
you got 1.2 million to play with.
Yeah. So anyway. We make it down there, and we kind of get hemmed up on the way down there by the checkpoint people, the federales, whatever. So we finally make it down there. It's a 31-hour drive. So we drive into Sayulita, Mexico. I don't know if you know where that's at.
No, I do not. So on a map, where are we at?
So if you're looking at Mexico and you see Puerto Vallarta,
been there. Take
a left.
Okay.
Go all the way to the coast, and that's where Punta de Mita and Sayulita is.
I got you.
And it's just like a really cool little surf town. So we get there, we're selling boards, doing this whole deal. And then, so two of the guys, I don't want to go into too much detail, but two of the guys that I went down there with, started butting heads real bad. And anyway, long story short, the car got stolen, and we then had to hitchhike back to Texas. So... at this point, I'm 21 years old. He's got all the money.
Yeah.
I've got nothing.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, all right, so what do I do at this point? So we finally find a guy from Port Arthur, Texas. And he's like, hey, I'm heading back tomorrow. Do you guys want to, ride back with me? I'm like, heck yes, I want to ride back with you. I don't want to stay here. So anyway, so he takes me all the way back to the border. And then, like I was saying, I used to play in a band. My old bandmates came down to the border, 7 or 8 hour drive down to Brownsville, came and picked me up, and they took me back home.
Wow.
So,
I got to stop you. What was the plan in Mexico?
The plan was to sell boards and make a living, basically going back and forth from the U.S., building boards and selling them.
Okay.
But, I don't know. I was 21. Yeah, it sounded cool in theory, but...
Hey, it's a story.
It's a story.
And I shacked up and went to Mexico when I was 21, living on a dream.
Yeah, we were basically living on the beach, surfing almost every day.
Yeah.
Oh, we were surfing every day. But there was this one time that we did go into Puerto Vallarta, and we got down there. We had been, we had a little bit of alcoholic beverages. Some salsa. And so we get down there, and the guy that I go down there with, he's had a little bit too much to drink. So he reaches out this cab window and to the next cab over, and he sticks his hand out and he smacks the cab driver. So I'm like, oh boy, dude, we're in Mexico. What are you doing? There's a freaking cop right behind us.
Oh boy.
So of course we get lit up, right?
Yeah.
So he pulls us over, and then there was also a girl in the car. We barely knew Spanish. I knew a little bit, but not enough to save my life. And so luckily the girl we were with knew Spanish. We give the cop, he's saying something, but luckily she knew enough Spanish to get us out of the deal. We give the dude like $500 and he lets us go.
Yeah.
I almost went to jail in Mexico. So I had really kind of two bad experiences. So I don't want to go back unless I'm on a cruise ship or I'm flying in and then flying out.
Yeah.
With a plan.
Yeah. So, what year was 21-year-old Brock going to Mexico? What year was this?
I am 33 now, so subtract, what is that, 12? It's 2008, 10 years. 2006? Yeah.
2006. Mexico still wasn't safe.
Nope. I actually had to go back down there again to go get my brother out of jail, and that's a whole nother story.
Oh, boy.
This was a couple years ago. That's neither here nor there.
Hey, man.
Yeah, I started building boards like at first, just for friends and family, but then like, I guess the entrepreneur side of me always just said, okay, well, what do I know how to do, and how can I do this for the rest of my life? And that was surfboard shaping at the time. And I remember sitting in, shaping boards, and I was like, what are all these millionaires and billionaires doing out there that I'm not? And number one, they started a business. And so I was like, okay, well, I took what I knew and I tried to start my own business, and just kind of flowered from there. And then, all the right people just kind of started, I guess attracting to me. I guess law of attraction.
Yeah.
I didn't build this business on my own by any means. Brian Gordon and Brandon Watson were the two people that really kind of helped me build this. But we can get into that here in just a little bit.
Yeah, man. That's another thing I really admire about you. And from afar, I've always been like, man, there's a guy doing it. Yep. That's the guy that's doing it. You had a dream. You had, what you know, what you like, what you love, and now that's what you're doing. Yeah. And I think that's so awesome. That's one of the big reasons why I want to have you on here to talk about that stuff, man. It's inspirational, one. And 2, it's a good story, and 3, you're a good guy.
I try.
Well, you like good things happen to good people, and it also shows you're also a regular guy, right? So it shows everybody out there, do it, go do it, take the risk, do what you got to do and make it happen. It's an awesome story. You were working in the oil refineries before,
yeah?
Is that correct?
Yeah. So I hired on with BP back in 2010, and that's kind of really whenever everything kind of started taking off. I had a little bit more money to start spending, and I finally moved into my own house with my own garage at that time, because I was building it in I started building boards again like back in like 09 or 08 whenever me and my wife got together, and her uncle let me build like a little shop in his shop, like a small shop within a shop. Yeah. It's a dome within a dome. And
dream within a dream.
Yeah, dream within a dream. And so anyway, I built there for like a year, and then from there, like I was saying, I moved to my own house after I got, I was working for BP, and then they were bought out by Marathon. But then, so I worked there for, I quit in 2013? Yeah, 2014, right after my daughter was born. And because I stayed on there so that way we could keep the insurance and the benefits and all that kind of stuff. But then I was just like, man, this is either make or break. I gotta go. Yeah. So I quit a really good job. Yeah, to do this full time. That was scary.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, man. That's got to be scary. Yeah. That's what a lot of folks say that that I've read and seen is that biggest leap to where now my bills being paid comes through me. Yeah. That moment where you make that switch is the scariest part.
Oh, it's terrifying.
And that's where a lot of people stop. It's where a lot of people stop. So
a lot of people have the golden handcuffs. They have the insurance, they have the benefits, they have they make really good money. And then whenever you just say, hey, I'm going to stop and do what I'm passionate about, and I hope I get paid. That stops a lot of people. Yeah. My circumstances weren't necessarily that bad. Like I was saying, I had some people come into my life that really did allow me to quit my job at the time that I quit. And, but I knew that I wasn't going to be destitute, and I knew that there was money behind me. But it's not nothing near what I was making, but I was able to, the cool part is I'm able to work basically from home now. And I'm able to, see my kids and do all that full time now that I'm just doing the sales and marketing aspect of it. Manufacturing, I'm not in it anymore. Because, whenever we opened up our facility here in Texas, we were moving guys in from California, moving them in from, actually we moved 2 guys in from California. We had guys coming in all over the place. I think we had 15 guys on staff at one time. Just building our boards. And I remember walking into one of our glassing rooms, and I think Tom Maxwell was in there, which is another big surfer, another really well-known board builder in Texas. And then I had Stephen Pearson and another guy we called Hank, and I had KP. So I've had like all the top guys working for us. And it's just like you walk in and I've got like 140 boards that are being glassed at one time. And you just walk in and you pinch yourself. And you're like, is this really happening? Like, there's no way. There's no way at all.
That's awesome.
But, you know, that was on wake surfing. But I guess I need to talk a little bit about kind of the how we got from surfing to wake surfing.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like I've cut out a little bit in that.
Yeah, I'm interested in that.
Yeah, so
I feel like wake surfing, like I said, when I think of that's why I want to talk about the Texas surfing scene first, because it is there. It is,
definitely
like
the lead up.
It's like you said, it is there. It's more prominent than people know. But as far as the wake surfing, I feel like that is a huge, maybe not untapped so much anymore, but when you started out, untapped market, because how many people are out there wakeboarding? How many people have boats? How many people don't have access to oceans and waves and all this good jazz? And I also want to talk to you about barge surfing.
Barge surfing.
Have you ever heard about this?
No.
Okay, so it's in Galveston Bay.
Oh, you're talking about like tanker surfing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. It's a tanker surfing.
Okay. So I seen it on a travel show, drinking show maybe, or something. Something on the Travel Channel. Old boy's down in Galveston running around doing all this stuff, and he goes tanker surfing for and they said, oh, we can go miles at a time, all this surfing. I'm like, I've never even heard of this.
Yeah. So there's a guy named James Fulbright that was actually kind of like the guy that was kind of putting all that on. He owns I think it's Surf Specialties down on like R and something. I don't know. Yeah, in Galveston.
Okay.
So he was doing all these like, you know, tanker surfing tours and stuff like that, and people could sign up. He'd take them out there. He knew where, you know, when the ships were coming in and all that stuff.
Yeah. So basically the point I'm trying to hit at is where a lot of these folks don't have the waves, don't have the beach, don't have this and that. They have lakes and canals and bayous and whatever that they can possibly go surfing at, which is where wake surfing comes in.
Right. So without wake surfing, I wouldn't be able to do this full time at all.
Yeah.
Like, not at all. Because, I mean, you got to think about, you know, the demographic of which I was dealing with. Number one, it was just coastal, right? You know, I could only sell to people on the coast. Whereas, you know, wake surfing came in, and now I can sell to anybody and everybody.
Yeah. So I was peeking on your website today and I looked at find a local dealer. Dude, you're all over the United States.
Yeah.
Props on you, brother. I went on there and looked, and I'm like, Minnesota, Utah, Colorado, Arkansas, up in the Midwest, they're all over the place.
Yeah, Midwest is really good. I mean, we're in South Korea, Russia. We're opening one up in New Zealand. We're getting into Australia, Switzerland. We're already in Paris. We're in Dusseldorf. Wow. I mean, we're all over the place now. I mean, we're just growing and growing and growing.
That is freaking awesome.
Yeah, so I think we're at like 88 locations right now.
Wow, that's awesome, dude. So how'd you get into it?
Okay, so, you know, via social media and stuff like that, you know, people were just kind of, I was getting, you know, small amount of traffic to my Facebook page that were watching me shape. And, not watching me, but just kind of following me as I was building boards. I'd post stuff up. And then, so a guy hit me up. He was like, dude, you need to make these wake surfboards. And I thought he was completely joking. I was like, yeah, whatever. You know, I'm an ocean surfboard builder. It was kind of like, you know, I was too good for that. You know what I mean? It was like, you know, so I was, you know, because I just thought it was a joke, you know?
Yeah.
And so I didn't think anything of it. So for about 6 months, this guy was like, dude, make me one of these, make me one of these, make me one of these. So, because it was all the same material.
Who was making them at the time?
So there was a couple companies out there. I think there was Shred Sticks, Walker Project, Soulcraft, and just a couple other just, you know, small companies.
So why was he after you to make him one?
Because I was local.
Okay.
So yeah, he was local.
Okay.
So he was a wake surfer. He had a wake surf boat, or it was mainly just they were basically wakeboard boats that they were just like tilting on their sides or listing the boat to make a wave. And so that's kind of how, you know, that kind of started to morph into more of like wake surf boats. But anyway, so he hit me up and he just showed up at my house one day. I remember seeing these flip-flops cut like underneath my garage door. I was like, who in the world is this guy? And then he was like, hey man, I hope you don't, you know, kind of mind me barging in here. Not barging, but like, dude, like make me this board.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So I kind of kind of just taken back like by this guy, you know, coming to my house. And then so I was like, all right. So I looked at it, and it was all the same material that I was using to an extent. Like the cores and stuff of the boards were a little bit different. One was polyurethane. The one he had was or polyester. Polyurethane. Anyway, the one he had was epoxy, EPS foam. So I built my first one based off of the one he brought me, and it was a complete just turd. I mean, just sucked. I still have it. And if
you're like, hey man, give me that back. Give me that back.
No,
I'll give you something better.
Dude, I mean, the fin angle was all wrong. The foam was all wrong. The rails were wrong. I mean, it was just complete turd. But like, I didn't want to surf anything else out there because I wanted to surf what I rode. Or I mean, what I made. Yeah. Even though it just sucked. And I still have it. Like, I'll if on this video that I'll do. I mean, I'll show a picture of it. It's just terrible compared to what we have today.
Okay.
But anyway, so I made that one. We went out on his boat, and then I just kind of continued to start making boards. And then I was just like, okay, well, and so I was making these things for like $350. Okay, because like it's like half the size of a surfboard. So I was like, okay, so it's probably half the cost. And then later on, I didn't realize that these things were selling for like $700, $800, $1,000. Wow. I guess because it was just, you know, supply and demand, or just, you know, there wasn't
the rarity of them, right?
Yeah, they were just, I guess, somewhat rare at the time. So I guess economically, okay, I've got less material, but I can make more money on this. But then, you know, but can we produce them at the you know, at the rate that we need to produce them? At that time, yeah, it was easy. You know, I was just doing them in my garage. And so one weekend, Brian and I were working. Brian was my partner that really helped me grow this business. And we were working, and I think we did like $7,000 in a weekend in just orders. And I was like, that's more than I made all month. Like, there might be something to this.
Yeah.
So anyway, Brian and I just, you know, we were building boards out of our garage, selling them. And then finally a friend of a friend called me, and he liked to wake surf, and he was looking to invest into a company. And so he just, thank God, invested into my company, and just basically, I mean, he was a godsend to us.
Wow.
He just basically said, what do you need to go to the next level? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, what do you need? And I said, well, I need a facility, I need machinery, I need people, I need this. He said, done. And that was all she wrote. And then we opened up our facility, and then now we went from like $6,000 or $7,000 in our first year, and now we're gonna clear $1 million.
Wow.
Now, so I mean, it's just I still pinch my, like, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about
yeah,
like,
dude,
just the growth.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's an awesome success story. It really is.